Psychology for Sport Performance, Assignment 2 by Lewis Gallagher. First off in psychology, Assignment 2 is stress. Stress is defined as a state or emotional strain of tension resulting from adverse or demanding circumstances. Within sport, there are two key types of stress. First is eustress. This is also known as a beneficial form of stress and is psychologically seen as mental exercise. Overall, it is a healthy form of stress that allows a person to feel good about themselves, and in a sporting environment, eustress helps competitors rise up and not quit in the face of pressure or adversity. The second form of stress is distress, and this is a negative kind of stress and can cause people to feel uneasy, uncomfortable, and anxious. This type of stress is literally defined as extreme anxiety, sorrow, or pain, and is often triggered in sporting environments when an athlete is unprepared for what they will be doing and overthink about the task at hand. There are also multiple different causes of stress. These are internal, external, occupational, personal, and sporting. An example of an internal cause of stress would be when dealing with an illness, because this can cause stress as it can make the person feel uncomfortable, irritated, and perhaps scared, depending on the severity. A form of an external cause of stress would be something like a major life change, such as a close family member dying. This would cause sorrow and anxiety due to losing someone close to you. An example of occupational stress is having a job in a manic work environment and having a lot to deal with all of the time. This can lead a person to feel anxious. An example of a personal cause of stress would be emotional problems such as depression, as this would lead a person to a constant state of discomfort and mental illness, which would cause them to be very easily distressed. And an example of a sporting cause for stress would be something such as losing a big game, such as a championship, as there would be a lot of pressure on players to perform. And as a result of this, after a loss, the player would experience distress as a result of failing on a big stage. Cognitive symptoms of stress include depression or general unhappiness, anxiety and agitation, moodiness, irritability or anger, feeling overwhelmed, loneliness and isolation, along with other emotional health problems. Somatic symptoms of stress include low energy, headaches, upset stomach, constipation and nausea, aches, pains and tense muscles, chest pains and rapid heartbeat, insomnia, frequent colds and infections, loss of sexual desire and or ability. Behavioural symptoms of stress include sleeping difficulties, lack of punctuality, exhaustion, addictive or excessive behaviour, unhealthy eating habits, risk-taking behaviour. Stress will have multiple impacts on sporting performance. First of all, when stressed, the sympathetic nervous system will be triggered, causing a sudden burst of adrenaline, leading to a fight or flight response. And while this is happening, activity in the parasympathetic nervous system is limited, as the PNS acts in a way opposite to the sympathetic nervous system. Next is anxiety. Anxiety is defined as a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease about something with an uncertain outcome. There are two key types of anxiety. First off is trait anxiety. This is where a person is anxious by nature and will remain this way almost constantly simply because this is the type of person they are. And the second type of anxiety is state anxiety. This is where a person is naturally relaxed and not anxious, but can be made anxious as a result of a certain event or occurrence. Causes of anxiety include stress in a personal relationship, such as marriage, financial stress, stress from an emotional trauma, such as the death of a loved one, stress from serious medical illness, side effects of medication, using illicit drugs, such as cocaine. Cognitive symptoms of anxiety include disassociation with certain people or even yourself, constantly thinking what if or am I going crazy, and talking yourself out of commitments or feeling relieved when they get cancelled. Somatic symptoms of anxiety include a feeling of restlessness, feeling on edge, shortness of breath, or a feeling of choking, sweaty palms, a racing heart, chest pain or discomfort, muscle tension, trembling, feeling shaky, butterflies in the stomach. Behavioural symptoms of anxiety include avoidance of behaviours, such as avoiding anxiety-inducing situations. Escaping from an anxiety-inducing situation can be things such as avoiding sport, avoiding meeting certain people, or avoiding certain activities such as airplane travel. Engaging in unhealthy, risky or self-destructive behaviours, becoming overly attached to safety objects or people. Anxiety can have multiple effects on sports performance. First off, anxiety can cause athletes to fear losing and as a result play scared, which is not conducive in sporting environments as players do not perform well under that condition. A further effect would be a drop in self-confidence. This could be brought on by a player making a mistake in a game and being unable to move on. This can create anxiety and pressure where there should be none, thereby causing the player to lose confidence in themselves and their abilities. Finally is arousal. Arousal is a key emotion in sports psychology associated with quality of performance and is often known as a feeling of readiness or excitedness to perform. There are 4 different key theories of arousal. First off is drive theory. Drive theory states that there is no optimum level of arousal to have in sport. It states that the higher the level of arousal an athlete has, the more successful they will be, and they will perform to a better quality with no limit. Inverted U theory. This theory states that there is a perfect level or optimum zone for arousal in an athlete, and once they reach that level, they will perform to the best of their abilities or at their peak. However, should they become overly aroused, their performance will begin to deteriorate until the player manages to become calmer and get back to their optimum zone. Then there is catastrophe theory. This theory, similar to the inverted U, states that there is an optimum level of arousal that an athlete can reach, and when they hit that zone, they will perform to the best of their abilities. However, unlike the inverted U, catastrophe theory states that the player's performance will immediately drop off at the point of over-arousal and is harder to get in control of, however, can be brought back to control like the inverted U. And then there is the IZOF theory, which states that players have an optimum zone but are either aroused enough or not aroused at all, rather than being on a scale like the other 4 theories. Arousal can have both positive and negative effects on sports performance depending on how aroused the athlete is. If the athlete is in lower stages of becoming aroused, their performance will begin building up and the player will begin to perform better and better as they progress. When a player reaches their optimum zone, if there is one, they will perform at their peak and they will perform to the best of their abilities.